Hi, and welcome to the next of our Lantern Conversations. I have Dave with us this morning. It's a bright and sunny morning. I'll pass over to Dave to say and introduce himself.
Morning, Dawn. It is indeed a really lovely morning. I guess I wear a number of hats in the Lantern family. I'm a trustee of the Arts Centre. So we've had the last couple of years some challenging times, some brilliant times, and it's a privilege to lead and steward the Arts Centre through those. I also work with Susie in leading our youth theatre, and we've got 2 youth theatre groups at the moment, which is brilliant. And occasionally I might find myself treading the boards, although more in plays than in musicals. If you've heard me sing, you know that's probably not my gift.
Yes, who can forget the pantomime when I first met you? It's quite a baptism of fire that was for my first. Within I think a month, 2 months of coming into post to meet you all in various outfits for pantomime. So,
what was it you were dressing as in, Dawn? That first one?
You were fairies with you were fairy cakes, weren't you? So you had
well remembered.
Yeah, you were fairy cakes with your tutu, and it was red. Was it your red tutu? Was it red or pink?
Pink, yeah, pink and red.
Oh, it was delightful, and
I've still got it in the wardrobe actually.
Have you still? And the glitter that took forever to get out. I think everyone just had glitter for you're finding glitter months in place.
All of Christmas.
So I know the youth theatre is going really well at the moment, isn't it? You've managed to try and put it on Zoom a little bit and stuff like that. So how's that going for the younger people?
Yeah, it's been a brilliant thing to do actually. We've, under Susie's brilliant guidance and leadership, managed to move a face-to-face weekly rehearsal drama group online, and I look after with Susie 2 of the older groups, but I know she's been in with the children's groups as well. I think what's been interesting in that part of our reflection, if you're stuck at home and you're sort of 13, 14, I know what it's like being 30 something and stuck at home. Actually, when you don't have any personal space, I think it can be really tough. So it's been a nice opportunity for young people to come together in a safe space with their friends and have something of some normality, really. And I think from the Arts Centre's point of view, and certainly the Children's Theatre Club, to be able to say, look, we haven't forgotten about you, we still care for you, you're still part of this family and what's going on around here. It's been a lovely thing to be able to do, and actually really fun trying to figure out how do you do some drama games, how do you do a rehearsal. Romeo and Juliet have been rehearsing and doing line runs. How do you do all of that over a computer screen?
I can imagine the kids are probably really good at it, actually. I mean, if you and I have both been probably in conferences where there's sort of up to 200 people on Zoom, and adults we've been really bad at it, haven't we? Put your hand up, or everyone mute themselves. But I should imagine the kids are actually probably more savvy with all of this, letting each other speak than we've been with it.
Yeah, they're absolutely. I mean, they're on it, and they're all the tech of it is fine. But interestingly, I think the reticence to participate, because actually in a group you can disappear easily into the background. But actually on this sort of call, if you say something, everybody's looking at you, and everybody's sort of looking at you all the time on Zoom, with your gallery view. So, I mean, they're taking to it brilliantly. But I think it's really hard to put yourself constantly in the spotlight for an hour with other people. And those of us that work or maybe grown up and have sort of lived a bit longer, we're probably used to that. It may not be great, it may be comfortable, but we're used to coping with that. And I think for some younger people, that is a bit tricky. And there's whole new skills that are being learned through this that we wouldn't have really thought about before we, when we got into doing the Zoom session.
That's right. Yeah, no, it's really good. And you, so you do lots of work for the LAC and across the whole Lantern family. But you also, you're a trustee of one charity, but you also work for a big charity as well. And you've not been furloughed, so you've been working all the way through it. So can you tell us a little bit about the charity you work for and the kind of things that you've been doing for the last 2 months with the lockdown?
Sure. Some of our viewers may know I work for a Variety children's charity. It used to be the Variety Club, and often people will recognise that name. We do a number of things, but all of our services are geared towards supporting children with SEND, so special educational needs and disabilities, or those living with financial disadvantage. So in a normal year, I look after all of our service delivery. I'm the head of programs there. So we support about 45,000 children and young people. Not quite so this year, all a bit different. The main thing that we do really is provide grant funding for tangible equipment. That could be to youth clubs, that could be our famous Sunshine Coaches to schools, and specialist equipment such as wheelchairs, car seats, eating assistance, children with a whole range of complex disabilities.
Yeah.
We also provide really memorable great days out, sort of experiences that children often can't take part in. I'll give you an example. You know, we normally send entertainers into schools and put parties on in schools where children have complex behavioural conditions, and teachers tell us that they never get invited to their friend's birthday party because their friend's parents don't know how to cope with their behaviour. So it's a very sort of personal, tailored service that we offer. What's complicated now then, of course, is we can't do much of that because we can't go into schools. Schools aren't open. We can't supply our Sunshine Coaches because the plants are all closed, all the staff there are furloughed, and very, very difficult in the supply chain. So what we've been focusing on is really a three-pronged approach to focus specifically on families in this time. We've delivered, and actually today, it's Friday morning as we're talking, we've actually delivered our 1,000th sensory kit to families. So that's 1,000 families that really benefited from this. And they're completely free, and they contain a range of sensory toys. Children, we know, with SEND are struggling more than ever in this period. We know from our families that self-harm has increased, meltdowns are increasing, children are really struggling to sleep, the change in routine, not being able to see your friends, not being able to go outside, all of that is having a really massive impact. So these kits are just something small, but they've given families just some extra tools and some resources. And we're hearing that you know, some of the smelling doughs in there are helping to keep children calm. There's some weighted cuddly toys that are allowing children to go to sleep much easier. It's been an amazing privilege, really, to be able to turn around and deliver that for so many families.
And it's quite interesting, isn't it, to change that focus from sort of schools and like you say, the coaches and everything like that, to actually, you know, go to helping families on a, you know, during this time. I mean, I was watching Grayson's Art Club on last Sunday, and they had a Sen adult on there, and he was making, it was the Fantasy Week, and he'd been making these amazing clay models. And Grayson was talking to him, and his mum was there with him as well. And she was saying, making the clay models has kept his part of his routine, and it's been so helpful because everything else has been stripped away, his social interaction, everything else. And so just being able to continue with the creative process of making clay models has just helped keep some routine. And I think that's what, you know, families have really struggled with, especially those who've got send young adults and children, isn't it?
I think you're absolutely right. And, you know, we were talking to some families just the other day. In school, they've got a whole range of resources available to children. Typically, you know, at home, there might be carers, there might be other services coming in. That's just gone overnight. So it's not even just children going to school, but it's actually what they've got access to at school. And so while the routine has changed, being able to offer something that a child is familiar with from that school environment in the home environment has been really, really helpful. We've also done a couple of other things for you know, we've got thousands of families applied for these kits, and we couldn't support them all, sadly. We developed a do-it-yourself guide to making your own sensory toys from things around your home. You know, taking an old sock, preferably one that's clean, so I wouldn't use one of Phil's, filling it with oats and tying a knot in it and having that in the bath is a really, you know, it's a weighted sock. It provides something calming, but it's some texture in there. Little things actually can make a massive difference. So we've offered that out as well, and we've been putting out podcast episodes focused on how families can make use of this time and tackling some of the complexities of that. How do you ensure your child's sort of emotional well-being during this time? So you know, it's been a whole voyage of discovery for all of us, but it's really focused on practical things that would make a difference,
Yeah, yeah. And I think that is for, like you say, is a good thing actually in that respect, that you've had this time to focus on other things. So I take it people can access the do-it-yourself kits
Yeah,
online.
they can.
Right, is it through your website or?
Can I give it a plug?
Go on, give it a plug.
Shameless plug. And I tell you, they will work for children. They'll be helpful with send and without. So variety.org.uk/sensory will take you straight there, and you can download it there.
That's brilliant. Thank you. Yeah. And even actually, like you say, even for children and adults, perhaps who don't have SEN, but just need that reassurance at this time, it's the simple, practical things that we can just do.
And some of our parents just, it's really humbling. Some were just saying, gosh, it's amazing that someone's just thinking about us at this time. And by no means are we the only people doing something. I mean, that's not the case. We're a small part of a much larger provision. But actually, the fact that families realise and know that there are people who are trying to do things, there's a comfort about that. There's a solidarity. And when you're stuck at home on your own, I think it feels very much like you against the world.
Yeah. That's very true. That's very true. I think one of the things that we found, that's the real positives, isn't it? But one of the things we found difficult as charities at this time is fundraising, isn't it? I mean, your major fundraising event would have been the London Marathon, and you've lost, huge amount of fundraising in that, as the art centre and as the centre, Lantern Centre, fundraising is just impossible at the moment, isn't it? And so how are you, I know we as the art centre and the centre are thinking about that, but it is difficult, isn't it?
I think it's difficult, not a variety with that hat on. We do a lot of fundraising events, and we have a lot of corporate sponsorship. The corporate sponsorship we've broadly been able to maintain so far, which has been brilliant. But all the events, they bring in for us well over £1 million. We are working up, what does it mean if we lose half of our income? If we lose 75% of our income, what does that do to us? So far, we've been lucky enough to retain. We think we can retain enough that we'll be fine through it. But there are lots of charities that are starting to go to the wall already because they've not acted soon enough, or because their income stream has dried up. And the Art Centre, we're in a really brilliant place with our reserves and where we were at financially, and that's largely down, I have to say, to our staff team and Dave and Amy and Steve and all of their brilliant work over the last sort of year and a half, and David obviously much further beyond that. So but we can't be complacent. We know that we're not getting any money in at the moment from any of our activities, and that's okay because we're not spending a huge amount. But actually, if social distancing keeps up well into next year, every charity is going to really struggle. Businesses that make money will be able to restart that. But for an art centre that relies on putting audiences in one place, putting groups together, when we can't bring people together, how's that going to work? And so we're starting to look now at what we might be able to do. And I mean, gosh, it's very early days. But if we don't do that, as trustees, we'll be really not doing the best for the art centre, even if that means we might get some things wrong along the way. And I'm not suggesting we're ever going to put anyone at risk, but we might spend a bit of money on something that doesn't bring in any money. But we've got to learn in this, we
This
don't
is it.
know, do we?
Yeah, I mean, it is a learning as we go along, isn't it? And like you say, it's how do we maintain sort of social distancing whilst trying to get that human connection back and bring our programs together.
And I think it's a really hard one to talk about as a trustee. I'm very conscious that we're guardians of this thing. You can't put it into words. Sort of people often talk about the sort of family connection of the art centre, the sense of acceptance, of belonging there, of being yourself. But we're also guardians of the bank account. And if we negligent on that front, we won't be able to offer what it is the art centre does offer in that sort of melting pot of brilliance. So we've got to sort of look at the two, really, and we absolutely, I don't think, should be driven by the money at all. And I think, being a faith-led organisation, there has to be at the heart of what we do, not the money. It has to be the centre of our Christian faith, the person Jesus Christ. Yeah. And yet we have a legal obligation to ensure. So trying to pick through all of that is and make sure that we aren't negligent legally, but we aren't overly committed to the money and at the sake of everything else. I think there is the balance we're trying to strike, really.
I think with the balance is there. I think we're, we had a run of trustee, of appointments recently, didn't we? And that's worked really well. So we have a broad spectrum of people with amazing gifts in accountancy and lots of other things. So we have been able to put a good team together. And like you say, it's teamwork, isn't it?
Brilliant.
Has meant that we are in a place now where we can at least